For 105 years, the galaxy had lived without a single human male. That fact alone made Alex Mercer an anomaly, though he had no idea how unusual he truly was until he stepped off the shuttle onto the surface of Arendor Prime. The planet's atmosphere was a mix of neon green mist and swirling violet clouds, giving everything an ethereal glow. And yet, despite its beauty, the first thing Alex noticed were the eyes. Hundreds of them. Alien eyes, staring, not with hostility but with curiosity, and strangely, something more intense that he couldn't yet define. Alex had spent the last decade traveling from one human colony to another, learning languages, observing cultures, and trying to understand his own place in a universe that seemed to have moved on without him. He had grown up hearing stories about the Great Departure, the mysterious event that had wiped out nearly all human males on Earth and other colonies. Scientists had called it an epidemic, a genetic disaster, but the survivors, mostly women, had adapted quickly, forming societies entirely of females. Technology, governance, even reproduction had evolved in ways Alex could hardly imagine. And now here he was, the first human male in over a century, stepping into a society that had never needed someone like him. The shuttle doors hissed open, and a wave of warm, perfumed air hit him. He shielded his eyes from the iridescent sunlight as he descended the ramp. The crowd waiting on the landing platform was larger than he had anticipated. Tall, lithe figures in shimmering clothing of various colors and textures moved with grace that suggested centuries of perfecting both body and culture. Their skin tones ranged from deep azure to pale silver, and their hair shimmered like spun metal in the alien sun. Their faces were beautiful, but what struck him most was the uniform intensity of their gaze. Every single woman in that crowd had turned to look at him the moment he stepped off the shuttle. A soft voice echoed in his earpiece, a translator device that had been fitted to him before leaving the shuttle. "Welcome, human male, you are unprecedented." It was neutral, almost clinical. Yet Alex felt the weight behind the words. Unprecedented. That word carried an implication that his very existence could reshape lives, societies, even politics. Alex swallowed hard and stepped forward. He raised his hands in a simple gesture of peace. I'm just Alex Mercer. I don't mean to cause any trouble." His voice sounded small in the vast open space of the platform, but the translator amplified it to perfection. Silence fell over the crowd as if his words were both understood and weighed carefully. Then one of them stepped forward. She was taller than the rest, with silver eyes that seemed to pierce straight through him. Her hair was a cascade of deep violet, flowing down past her waist, and her skin glimmered faintly, as if reflecting the strange light around them. She stopped a few paces away and studied him. "Alex Mercer," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "I am Lysera, the council envoy. You are aware of what your presence means here?" Alex nodded, though he wasn't entirely sure. I know I'm the first human male here in a long time. But I didn't come to change anything. I just want to learn, to understand your society." Lysera's eyes softened slightly. Learning is wise. "But understand this. For over a century, we have thrived without human males. Every structure of our society has adapted. Your presence introduces something entirely new. Some will see it as a gift, others as a challenge." She gestured toward the crowd behind her. "You will meet them all. It is only proper that they see you, know you exist." Alex felt a knot in his stomach but nodded. The crowd began to move, forming a semicircle around him. He could feel hundreds of pairs of eyes on him, analyzing every expression, every micro-movement. For the first time in his life, he felt truly exposed, not just physically but in his identity. What did it mean to be human in a galaxy that had survived perfectly well without your kind? A woman with soft turquoise skin and hair that sparkled like starlight approached him next. "Hello," she said gently. "I am Aria. I don't know what to say. It's just, seeing you is strange. And fascinating." Her tone was not flirtatious, though Alex could sense a subtle mix of curiosity and awe. He managed a small smile. I feel the same way. Everything here is new to me." Aria nodded and motioned to the others. "They all feel it, I think. That human presence. It's different from anything we've known. Your kind. You carry history in ways we can't fully comprehend." Alex realized she was right. Even his very biology was alien to them. Women had learned to reproduce without males, using advanced genetics and technology to control inheritance, traits, and even personality markers. The concept of a natural human male was foreign, unpredictable, maybe even dangerous in a way he could not yet understand. Yet here they were, welcoming him, but with caution and intensity that made his pulse quicken. Lysera raised her hand and the crowd grew silent again. "Alex Mercer," she said, "you will live among us for a time. You will observe our culture, participate in our ceremonies, and understand the essence of what it means to exist in a society without human males. We will provide guides and mentors, but know this. Your presence may awaken desires, fears, and questions that have lain dormant for generations." Alex swallowed. I understand. I will do my best." As he followed Lysera down a polished walkway toward the city's core, he could not help but notice the architecture. Towers of crystal and metal spiraled into the sky, and bridges connected buildings in impossible arcs that defied human engineering logic. Hovering vehicles moved silently above, and the streets were filled with activity. Despite the alien surroundings, there was an undeniable order, a harmony in the chaos. It was a society that had mastered both science and art in ways he could only dream of. Lysera led him into a large hall filled with light. "Here," she explained, "is where you will spend your initial days. You will meet historians, scientists, and cultural leaders. Observe, ask questions, but refrain from making decisions that could disrupt our equilibrium. You are not a ruler, you are a witness." Alex nodded, though his mind was already racing. Witness. It was a strange position to occupy, to be human, yet to have the potential to alter a civilization simply by existing. He could feel the weight of that responsibility pressing down on him. Later, as he explored the hall on his own, he began to notice small gestures from the women around him, glances that lingered longer than necessary, subtle shifts in posture, expressions of curiosity mixed with something he couldn't name. He reminded himself repeatedly they were not being flirtatious. They were studying him, the same way scientists studied specimens under a microscope. He had to remember that. He had to stay calm. Yet he could not deny a strange thrill at being noticed in a way no human male had been for over a century. Every step he took seemed to ripple through the room, drawing attention, generating silent whispers. Even simple acts, picking up a book, walking past a console, felt monumental. In a world that had adapted perfectly without him, he had become a phenomenon merely by existing. By the time the sun, or what passed for the sun on Arendor Prime, began to set, the crowd had dispersed. Alex sat in a quiet chamber, staring out over the city as violet light bathed the spires. He was exhausted mentally and emotionally. He had survived decades of being one of the last males in scattered human colonies, but nothing had prepared him for this level of scrutiny. And yet in that quiet moment he also felt a spark of something else, purpose. Maybe his existence wasn't just an accident or a curiosity. Maybe he had a role to play. And somewhere deep in the back of his mind he could not shake the awareness that his presence might change the lives of everyone around him in ways he could never predict. For the first time he wondered, was he truly ready to carry the weight of being the only human male in the galaxy? The next morning Alex awoke to the soft hum of the city outside his chamber. Arendor Prime was alive with motion even before its twin suns had fully risen. He rubbed his eyes and looked around the room. The walls shimmered faintly, a kind of living material that seemed to pulse in rhythm with the soft light. A small table held breakfast, nutrient-rich food designed for human digestion, though slightly alien in flavor. He hesitated, then took a bite. The taste was surprisingly pleasant, unlike anything he had ever experienced. Lysera appeared quietly at the doorway, her violet hair catching the early light. "Good morning, Alex. Today you will begin your first interactions with the Council Scholars. They are eager to understand you just as you are to understand them." Alex nodded. I hope I don't embarrass myself. I'm not used to this kind of attention." Lysera's silver eyes softened. "It is natural to feel nervous. But remember, they are not here to judge. They are here to observe, to learn, and to teach. Curiosity is a virtue in our society." He followed her through corridors that seemed to twist and stretch impossibly, almost as if the city itself had a mind. The walls glowed faintly under his touch, responding to his presence. Floating lights hovered alongside them, casting soft illumination without a single visible fixture. Alex's mind raced. Every moment, every step reminded him that he was a stranger not just in a new city, but in a civilization that had grown and evolved without human males. The council chamber was vast. with a high-domed ceiling reflecting the twin suns in colors Alex could not name. Around a circular table sat several alien women, each different in appearance yet all radiating a sense of intelligence and authority. Some had skin like polished bronze, others like translucent crystal. Their eyes, glowing faintly in the ambient light, tracked him as he approached. Lysera introduced him. "Council scholars, this is Alex Mercer. He is the first human male in over a century. He will reside among us, observe our society, and share his perspective as a human." A tall woman with soft, teal skin leaned forward. "Alex Mercer," she said, her voice melodic. "It is not often that we encounter a human male. Your existence raises questions, not only about biology but about culture, history, and identity. We are curious to learn from you." Alex swallowed, feeling the weight of all their attention. I will do my best," he said. "I want to understand your society and maybe I can help in some way. I don't know yet how, but I hope to contribute." Another scholar with hair that sparkled like liquid silver spoke next. "Contribution is not demanded, but presence itself is meaningful. You carry the history of a species, of a lineage, in ways we have never experienced. Your choices, actions, and even simple interactions can shape the future." Alex nodded, trying to keep his nerves steady. Even in this moment of calm conversation, he felt like a living experiment. Yet strangely, he did not feel fear. He felt purpose. For decades, he had wandered between human colonies, feeling out of place, unnecessary. Here, in a world that had long adapted without him, he suddenly mattered. The day unfolded with introductions and discussions, each scholar eager to hear Alex's stories of human life and history. He described cities on Earth that no longer existed, the cultural traditions humans had once held, and the technological advancements that had been lost after the Great Departure. They listened intently, asking questions, taking notes, and sometimes exchanging quiet glances with one another that Alex couldn't fully interpret. During a break, Alex wandered into a garden that stretched across the chamber's balcony. Strange, luminescent plants swayed in the alien breeze, and the air was filled with scents he could not name but found oddly comforting. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Arya approaching. "You handled them well," she said quietly. "You don't seem afraid." Alex shook his head. "I was nervous at first, but then I realized, maybe my being here is bigger than me. Maybe it's not just about observation. Maybe humans, even just one, still have a role to play." Arya tilted her head. "That is a perspective we have not considered for over a century. Our societies have thrived without male humans. Yet here you are, and you are different. You remind us of what was lost and perhaps what could be regained. It is unsettling and exhilarating." Alex chuckled nervously. "I didn't mean to unsettle anyone." Arya smiled faintly. "It is not your fault. It is simply the nature of your existence. Curiosity, wonder, and adaptation are natural responses. You will see more as you live among us." As the days passed, Alex began to explore more of the city and its people. He met scientists who experimented with genetics, engineers who built structures that defied gravity, and artists who created works that seemed alive. Everywhere he went, women watched him, not in judgment but with fascination. It was a constant reminder that he was unique, a living connection to a species that had once dominated the stars. One evening, while walking along a bridge that arched above the city, Alex noticed something new. A group of young scholars was practicing a form of physical training, fluid movements that combined combat and dance. They moved with precision, but there was an elegance and strength in every motion. Alex paused to watch, and one of the women noticed him. "You have the eyes of a human," she said, approaching. "You see differently, even in something as simple as movement. Tell me, Alex, what do you think of our technique?" He considered carefully. "It's beautiful, strong, precise, and harmonious, but I think humans might move differently. We value adaptability, unpredictability, improvisation, not always perfect, but capable of surprising solutions." The woman's eyes widened slightly. "Interesting. You may teach us something we have forgotten." Alex smiled, realizing that his existence was already having an impact. He could not yet quantify it, but the small reactions, the subtle changes in conversation, the thoughtful glances, they all suggested that even as a single human male, he could influence this society. That night, Alex reflected on the growing attention he was receiving. He had expected curiosity, perhaps a little fear, but what he had encountered went beyond that. There was a quiet tension in the air, a sense of anticipation. He was not just a guest. He was an anomaly, a living embodiment of humanity's past and potential future. Lysra visited him before he slept. "Alex," she said softly, "you may notice, some among us will be drawn to you more than others. Do not misinterpret it. Attraction is not the same as dominance or desire. It is recognition, acknowledgement that you are different, that your presence matters." Alex nodded, feeling a mixture of anxiety and curiosity. "I understand. I will be careful." Lysra's gaze lingered. "Carefulness is wise, but do not fear your presence. You are a bridge between what was and what could be. Observe, learn, and guide with your humanity." The words settled in his mind as he looked out at the alien city. For the first time, he truly felt like he belonged somewhere, not because he had to, but because he had a role. Even as the galaxy continued without human males for over a century, here he mattered. He could shape understanding, inspire curiosity, and perhaps remind these women of something they had long forgotten, the potential of humanity. Alex fell asleep that night with a sense of purpose he had never known. He was a single human male in a galaxy of women who had never needed one. Yet somehow that made him more than a curiosity. It made him a catalyst. And in the quiet hum of Arendor Prime, under the glow of twin suns, he understood that his journey was only beginning. The world around him was alive with possibilities, and for the first time in a long time, Alex Mercer felt that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The days on Arendor Prime began to blur together for Alex, each one filled with new experiences and overwhelming attention. He was no longer just a guest. He had become a figure of fascination. Scholars, artists, engineers, and even children observed him with a mix of awe and curiosity. But today felt different. Today, Alex sensed that something was about to shift. He had been invited to the Grand Arena, a massive structure suspended high above the city on levitating platforms. The arena was used for training, demonstrations, and competitions, occasions that combined physical skill, strategy, and artistry. Lysra accompanied him as they approached, her calm demeanor belying the excitement that Alex could almost feel radiating from the crowd already assembled. "The council has requested that you observe today," she explained. "They are testing adaptability, resilience, and innovation. It is a tradition we have maintained for centuries. Your perspective may reveal insights we have overlooked." Alex nodded, feeling both nervous and curious. In the weeks he had spent on Arendor Prime, he had learned to adapt to many things: the language, the customs, the alien environment. But this felt different. Here his humanity might be directly compared to centuries of alien perfection. The arena itself was awe-inspiring. Its floor shimmered like liquid metal, capable of changing texture and shape at a thought. Platforms rose and fell, creating obstacles and pathways, while holographic projections filled the air with landscapes that shifted from forests to deserts in seconds. The spectators, mostly alien women, lined the edges of the arena, their glowing eyes focused on the center where participants were about to demonstrate their skills. Alex's guide, a woman named Seraphine, approached him. She had skin like polished jade, long hair that rippled with iridescent light, and eyes that seemed to perceive his every thought. "Alex, we will allow you to participate," she said. "It is not a competition. It is an experiment, to see how a human male might interact with challenges we have mastered for generations." Alex hesitated. I don't know if I can do it." "I'm not trained in your methods," Seraphine smiled. "Exactly. That is why you are here. Adaptability is a human strength. Innovation is a human trait. Do not worry about skill or tradition. Show us what you can do with what you know." Taking a deep breath, Alex stepped onto the arena floor. Immediately, the environment shifted beneath his feet, transforming into a forest with towering crystal trees and streams of glowing liquid. Holographic creatures moved through the undergrowth, observing him without threat. He could feel the eyes of the crowd on him, every small decision scrutinized. But rather than fear, a spark of determination ignited within him. He began moving carefully at first, noticing patterns in the shifting terrain. Where the alien participants might follow exact sequences of movements, Alex relied on intuition, improvisation, and observation. When a holographic boulder fell from above, he leapt aside, then discovered he could redirect its path by shifting his weight and stepping precisely. The crowd murmured, soft gasps, intrigued whispers. His movements were different from anything they had seen. Less precise, perhaps, but adaptable, unpredictable, and effective. As he navigated the course, Alex realized that he was doing more than avoiding obstacles. He was discovering something fundamental about humans: creativity under pressure. Where the alien participants had mastered centuries of technique, Alex relied on instincts, imagination, and trial and error. Sometimes he stumbled, but he always recovered, finding a solution no one had anticipated. Seraphine observed quietly from the edge of the arena. "Remarkable," she murmured. "Even in error he finds innovation. This is unprecedented." By the end of the demonstration, Alex had navigated the entire arena with a combination of skill, luck, and improvisation. The crowd erupted into applause, not loud but intense, reverent, and filled with admiration. Alex felt a rush of exhilaration. For the first time, he truly saw the impact of his presence. His humanity, his flaws, his creativity, his unpredictability was something these centuries-old societies had never encountered. After the demonstration, Lisa guided him to a quieter area of the arena. "You have done well," she said, her silver eyes reflecting pride. "You have shown them what humans can contribute, not through perfect technique but through ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, traits they may have forgotten." Alex smiled, though his heart still raced. "I didn't know if I could do it. I was afraid of failing." Lisa shook her head. "Failure is part of learning. You have reminded us of that. You have reminded us that perfection is not the only path to excellence." Later that evening, Alex found himself invited to a gathering of young scholars. They wanted to hear stories of Earth, of human achievements, and of life before the Great Departure. Alex spoke of cities built along rivers, of explorers who had crossed deserts and oceans, of artists who had painted and written and composed music that stirred hearts. His listeners leaned forward, captivated. In their expressions he saw awe, inspiration, and longing, a longing for a past they had never known yet now felt within reach. Among them was Arya, who had been quietly observing him throughout. She approached as the group dispersed. "You inspire them," she said. "Not because you are perfect, but because you are human. Flawed, resilient, imaginative. They see something in you that even we have forgotten to value in ourselves." Alex felt a strange warmth. I never thought of it that way. I've always felt out of place, like I didn't belong anywhere, but here, maybe I can help them remember something important." Arya nodded. "Yes, and perhaps they can help you understand something as well. You have a role, Alex. Not just to observe, but to influence, to remind us that even a single human can shape the future." The next day, a challenge arrived, unexpected and urgent. Reports came from the outskirts of the city. A rogue weather system, artificially enhanced by unstable technology, was threatening nearby districts. Alien engineering had minimized the risk, but the anomaly was unpredictable. The council convened immediately, and Alex was brought into the meeting. "This system," Lisa explained, "operates on principles we have controlled for generations, but the anomaly is unfamiliar. Our calculations fail to predict its behavior. Alex, your perspective may provide insights we cannot see." Alex felt the weight of responsibility. He had never been in a situation where his input could save lives, let alone an entire district. And yet something in him sparked, a confidence rooted in human ingenuity. "I need to see the system," he said. "I want to understand what's happening." He was led to a control center, a vast room filled with consoles, holographic displays, and floating maps. He examined the readings, noting subtle irregularities. The alien engineers had focused on exact replication and symmetry, patterns that humans often overlooked because they relied too heavily on prediction and tradition. Alex, however, looked at the system differently. He saw the small variances, the minor fluctuations that could indicate the anomaly's source. "I think it's here," he said, pointing at a cluster of energy spikes. "The system is overcompensating for a local imbalance. If you adjust the parameters gradually, instead of applying the full corrective force at once, it should stabilize." The engineers exchanged glances. They had not considered that approach. Following his suggestion, they carefully implemented the gradual adjustments. Slowly, the readings normalized. The rogue weather system calmed and the threat dissipated. The council erupted into admiration and quiet celebration. Lizara's eyes gleamed. "You have saved lives today, Alex. Not with brute force, but with insight, observation, and human intuition. You remind us that even a single human can impact the course of events in ways we cannot predict. Alex felt a surge of pride mixed with humility. He had never imagined that being human in a galaxy without males could have such significance. Yet standing in the center of the control room, surrounded by alien scholars and engineers who now looked at him with renewed respect, he understood. His uniqueness was not a liability. It was a gift. That night, as he walked through the glowing streets of the city, he realized that his presence was changing more than the scholars' perception of him. It was changing how they saw their society, how they valued adaptability, creativity, and imperfection. Alex Mercer, the lone human male in over a century, was no longer merely an observer. He was a bridge between what had been lost and what could be regained. And in that moment he felt a profound sense of purpose. The galaxy had survived without human males for over a century, but perhaps now with him, it could learn something new, something only humans could offer: ingenuity, resilience, and the unpredictable spark of life that could turn challenges into triumphs. The weeks that followed the stabilization of the rogue weather system were filled with a new energy across Arendor Prime. Alex had become more than a guest, more than a curiosity. He was a contributor, an observer whose insight had already reshaped the understanding of centuries-old practices. Yet as much as he was respected, he knew he still had much to learn. The galaxy had evolved without humans for over a century, and there were limits to what one person could grasp in such a complex civilization. One morning, Lysera arrived with a message. "Alex," she said, her tone serious, "the Council has requested your presence in the Hall of Reflection. It is time for a ceremonial recognition of your role, but more than that, they wish for you to participate in a project that could define the future of our society." Alex's curiosity surged. A project? What kind of project? Lysera smiled faintly. "It is a collaboration. Humans bring qualities we no longer fully understand: improvisation, intuition, resilience. You will join the finest minds of Arendor Prime to solve a problem that has challenged us for decades." The Hall of Reflection was a magnificent structure, suspended high above the city on transparent platforms. The walls shimmered with flowing light, showing images of the planet's history and achievements. Scholars from every discipline were gathered, waiting for him. Alex felt a mix of nerves and anticipation. One of the senior scholars, a tall woman with skin like molten gold, stepped forward. "Alex Mercer, we honor your contributions, but we also recognize your potential to guide us further. A challenge has arisen in our outer colonies, a resource crisis that threatens several settlements. We need a solution that combines our technology with your human perspective." Alex took a deep breath. The outer colonies had always relied on automated systems, but even the most advanced technology sometimes failed to anticipate unforeseen circumstances. "I will do my best," he said, and the words carried more weight than he realized. The group moved to a holographic map of the affected colonies. Streams of energy, transport routes, and habitat data projected into the air. Alex studied them carefully, noticing patterns the others had overlooked. He saw that the automated systems, while precise, lacked flexibility. Where alien minds sought symmetry and perfection, human intuition often found solutions in unexpected connections. "This is similar to the arena," Alex said aloud. "We need to apply adjustments gradually, but we also need contingency plans that account for unexpected variables. The colonies cannot rely solely on rigid protocols. Flexibility and improvisation can save them." The scholars exchanged glances. "Interesting," Lysera said. "You propose an approach we have not attempted in decades. We will implement your plan." Over the next several hours, Alex worked alongside the scholars, designing a system that combined Arendorian technology with human problem-solving. They incorporated redundancies, adaptive energy flows, and responsive environmental controls. Alex suggested subtle changes based on observation and intuition rather than calculation alone. By nightfall, the plan was ready, and the outer colonies implemented the strategy immediately. Within days, reports came in. The colonies were stabilizing. Resources were distributed efficiently, environmental hazards mitigated, and automated systems responding with unprecedented resilience. Alex's approach had worked. For the first time, the alien society truly experienced the value of human adaptability, and the ripple effect of his contributions became clear. The Council summoned him once more, this time for an audience in the central tower. Lysera led him through corridors of glowing crystal and floating light, until they reached a chamber filled with scholars, leaders, and representatives from every colony. Alex stepped forward, feeling the weight of expectation, yet grounded in the confidence that came from recent successes. Lysera spoke first. "Alex Mercer, you have not only survived in our world, but you have transformed it. Through observation, innovation, and intuition, you have reminded us of qualities that we had long forgotten: adaptability, resilience, and creativity. Your presence has reshaped our understanding of humanity and inspired a new generation of leaders." The crowd erupted into applause, not just polite, but sincere, reverent, and filled with admiration. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest. This was not the attention of curiosity or novelty. It was respect, recognition, and trust. Arya stepped forward from the crowd. "Alex," she said softly, "you have reminded us that even a single human can influence the course of events, can inspire change, and can bridge what was lost with what can be gained. You have shown us that humanity is not merely a species but a force of ingenuity and hope." Alex nodded, humbled. "I never imagined that I could make such a difference. I only wanted to understand and help. I never realized how much humans, even one person, could mean to an entire society." Lysera smiled. "That is the essence of being human. It is not power or perfection that defines you, but insight, courage, and adaptability. You are a living example of what humans can achieve, even in a galaxy that has survived without them for over a century." After the ceremony, Alex wandered alone to the balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns were setting, painting the sky in hues of violet and gold. Below, the city hummed with life, energy, and movement. He thought about the centuries that had passed without a human male, the societies that had adapted, and the countless lives that had flourished independently of him. And yet here he was, bridging a gap between the past and the future. Arya joined him quietly, standing beside him without speaking. After a moment, she said, "Do you feel it, Alex? The sense that your presence has changed everything?" Alex smiled faintly. "Yes and no. I feel like I've made a difference, but I also see how much more there is to do. My presence is not an end, it's the beginning of something greater." Arya nodded. "Exactly. You are not here to dominate or lead by authority. You are here to remind us, inspire us, and help us rediscover what we lost. That is a power greater than any technology." As the days turned into weeks, Alex continued to work, teach, and learn. He trained young scholars in problem-solving techniques that combined human intuition with alien precision. He shared stories of Earth and humanity, inspiring curiosity, creativity, and a renewed sense of purpose. Slowly, the society began to embrace the idea that humans, though absent for over a century, had qualities worth preserving and celebrating. One evening, as he watched the stars from the highest tower of the city, Alex reflected on his journey. He had arrived as a curiosity, the first human male in 105 years. He had been observed, studied, and scrutinized. But through observation, adaptability, and courage, he had become a bridge between worlds. His presence had reminded the alien society of the power of imperfection, intuition, and creativity. Lysera appeared at his side. "Alex, the galaxy has not only accepted you, it has learned from you. You are no longer merely a visitor. You are part of our story, part of our future." Alex looked out at the vast city and the alien horizon beyond. "I came here unsure of my place," he said quietly. "Now I see that being human means more than surviving. It means contributing, inspiring, and connecting. Even one person can change the course of history." Lysera's silver eyes gleamed with quiet approval. "That is the essence of what it means to be human. And you, Alex Mercer, embody it fully." As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, Alex felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known. He had found purpose, respect, and belonging in a world that had long thrived without him. And in doing so, he had reminded an entire civilization that humanity, its creativity, courage, and adaptability, was a force unlike any other in the galaxy. The night sky shimmered with stars, each one a reminder of infinite possibilities. Alex Mercer, the lone human male in over a century, had arrived as a stranger. But now he stood as a symbol of hope, ingenuity, and the enduring power of humanity. The galaxy had changed, and so had he. Together they would build a future that honored the past, celebrated the present, and imagined the endless potential of what humanity could contribute. For the first time in over a century, humans had left a mark that could not be ignored, and Alex, with all his flaws, curiosity, and ingenuity, had made sure that mark would endure.